New York and California, 3,000 miles apart. But the real distance? It's geological. One state sits on billion-year-old rocks. The other is actively tearing itself apart right now. Same country, completely alien worlds. Let's prove it with 30 mind-blowing geography facts. Fact 1. Okay, so New York's highest peak, Mount Marcy? Yeah, it's like 5,344 feet. Cool. But California's Mount Whitney? Bro, that thing is 14,505 feet, almost triple. And the crazy part? California also has America's lowest point, Death Valley, 282 feet below sea level. Meanwhile, New York's lowest point is literally just the ocean. California's basically like, yeah, I'll take both extremes, thanks. Fact 2. Here's one nobody guesses. New York has around 2,625 miles of coastline when you count every twist and turn of Long Island and the Great Lakes. California? Only 840. Yup, New York has more than 3 times the coastline of California. Wild, right? Fact 3. New York's volcano situation? Yeah, there is none. The volcanoes there died like 200 million years ago. Zero threat. California, though? That place has 7 potentially active volcanoes. Mount Shasta, Lassen Peak, which literally erupted in 1915. California's volcanoes are like, don't sleep on us. Fact 4. New York has 0 deserts. Even the dry parts get like 30 inches of rain. California? Nah, bro. California has 3 deserts. Mojave, Colorado, Great Basin, covering almost half the frickin' state. And Death Valley? 134 degrees Fahrenheit, hottest recorded on Earth. Basically an oven. Fact 5. New York's tallest tree is a 160-foot white pine. Nice, respectable. But California? California's like, hold my forest. It grows giant sequoias and coastal redwoods, trees over 370 feet tall. Literal skyscraper trees. Nothing else on Earth comes close. Fact 6. New York gets maybe 1 to 2 tiny earthquakes a year. Barely noticeable. The last real one was in 1944. Bro, 10,000 earthquakes every single year. Most too small to feel, but still. The San Andreas Fault is basically always whispering, I'm awake. Fact 7. New York's Hudson Valley? Beautiful, historic, 150 miles long. All good. But California's Central Valley? Dude, it's 450 miles long, 60 miles wide, and produces a quarter of America's food. It's so big you can literally see it from space. Fact 8. Niagara Falls, yeah, the beast, moves 750,000 gallons per second. But guess what? California's Yosemite Falls is 2,425 feet tall, almost 3 times taller than Niagara. Volume versus height, both insane in their own ways. Fact 9. Long Island in New York is 118 miles long and holds over 8 million people. California's largest island? Santa Cruz, 22 miles long, and barely anyone lives there. New York, Mega City Island. California, Peaceful Nature Island. Fact 10. Manhattan packs 72,000 people per square mile. It's basically humans stacked on humans. California's smallest county, Alpine? It has like 1,200 people in total. That's 1.6 per square mile, emptier than Alaska. Complete opposites. Fact 11. New York borders Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, and together they hold more water than every lake in California combined. The Great Lakes are 21% of Earth's fresh water. California's Lake Tahoe is deep and gorgeous, but holds barely 1% of that. Fact 12. The Hudson River? 315 miles straight to the ocean. Simple. California's Sacramento River? Yeah, this one is wild. It actually flows backward in some seasons because of water pumping for farms. New York rivers follow gravity. California's follow engineering. Fact 13. New York's Adirondack Mountains are ancient, 1.2 billion years old, and still growing a tiny 2 millimeters a year. California's Sierra Nevada are baby mountains, just 40 million years old, sharp, rising fast, old versus young, calm versus dramatic. Fact 14. Adirondack Park, 6 million acres of forest, biggest protected forest east of the Mississippi. Fall colors? Insane. California's forests are totally different. Redwoods, chaparral, alpine zones, 33 million acres total. But with that comes wildfires New York rarely deals with. Fact 15. Tug Hill Plateau in New York averages 200 inches of snow every year. Houses get buried. But California said, watch this. Donner Pass once got 804 inches. That's 67 feet of snow, literally higher than a 6-story building. New York gets snow. California gets legendary snow. Fact 16. New York's record low temperature is 52 degrees, set in Old Forge in 1979. That's colder than most Alaskan towns. California's record low is 45 degrees in the Sierra Nevada. But here's the kicker. California's record high is 134 degrees, a 179-degree swing. New York's record high is just 108 degrees, showing California's mind-bending climatic extremes from Death Valley to mountain peaks. Fact 17. New York has just one official national park, Saratoga, but also 22 national historic sites. For pure geographic diversity, California wins with parks that look like different planets. California hosts 9 national parks, the most of any state, protecting everything from Yosemite's cliffs to Joshua Tree's desert. They cover 7.6 million acres of diverse geography. Fact 18. New York's largest native animal is the moose, which reaches about 7 feet tall at the shoulder. It's impressive but weighs less than a blue whale's tongue. California is home to the largest living creatures on Earth today, blue whales, who migrate along its coast and can reach 100 feet long. They're bigger than any dinosaur. California's wildlife operates on an entirely different scale. Fact 19. New York faces nor'easters, powerful winter storms that dump snow and batter the coast with hurricane-force winds. They form when cold Arctic air meets warm Atlantic water. California faces atmospheric rivers, narrow bands of tropical moisture that carry more water than the Mississippi River. These Pineapple Express storms can dump 10 inches of rain in a day, causing floods and mudslides. New York freezes, California drowns. Fact 20. New York has just 6 major vegetation zones, all typical of the Northeast. The weather you get in Buffalo is similar to what you get in Albany. California has more distinct vegetation zones than any other state, over 30 types ranging from desert cactus to alpine tundra. You can drive from Mexico to Canada without leaving the state and see completely different plant worlds. Fact 21. New York averages just 200 wildfires per year, most smaller than 10 acres. The state is geologically stable with minimal fire risk. California averages 7,000 wildfires annually, burning over 1.5 million acres in bad years. Combine that with earthquakes and mudslides, and it's a geologically hyperactive state. California lives on the edge. New York lives in relative calm. Fact 22. The bedrock beneath New York is among the oldest in North America, formed over 1 billion years ago during the Grenville orogeny. It's hard, stable, and rarely shifts. California's foundation is brand new in comparison, formed by the Pacific Plate grinding against North America. This constant tectonic action creates new land daily, but also constant instability. New York stands on ancient stone. California rides a moving conveyor belt. Fact 23. New York's Finger Lakes were carved by glaciers and hold an estimated 3.5 cubic miles of fresh water. That's enough to flood Manhattan to a depth of 200 feet. But California's Lake Tahoe alone holds 36 cubic miles of water, 10 times more. However, Tahoe is California's exception. New York's many lakes collectively hold more water than California's handful of large ones. Fact 24. New York's Howe Caverns extend 156 feet below the surface along 6 miles of mapped passageways. They're impressive but modest. California's Lava Beds National Monument contains over 700 lava tubes and caves, some extending for miles underground. These caves were formed by volcanic eruptions, not water. In cave count and volcanic origin, California's underground world is vastly more complex. Fact 25. New York's Montezuma National Wildlife Refuge covers 10,000 acres of swamps and marshes at the north end of Cayuga Lake. It's critical for migratory birds, but relatively small. California's Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta spans 738,000 acres of waterways and wetlands, the largest estuary on the West Coast. It's a maze of islands and channels that supplies water to 27 million people. New York's wetland is a bird stopover. California's is a lifeline. Fact 26. New York contains just 4 major climate zones, all variations of humid continental. California officially contains 24 different Köppen climate classifications, from desert BWK to Mediterranean CSA to alpine ET. A single day's drive can cross 5 climate zones. California's climate diversity is unmatched in the U.S. Fact 27. New York's highest temperature ever recorded was 108 degrees in Troy during 1926. It was a brutal heat wave, but survivable. California's Furnace Creek in Death Valley averaged 118 degrees for an entire month in July 2018, with nighttime lows of 98 degrees. That's hotter than New York's hottest day, and it lasted 30 days straight. California's heat is not just extreme, it's relentlessly extreme. Fact 28. New York's coastal areas can drop below zero in winter, with New York Harbor once freezing solid in 1780. California's coastal areas rarely freeze, with Santa Barbara's record low being just 20 degrees. While both states have mountain cold, California's lowlands stay mild, while New York's lowlands can freeze solid. California's coastal climate is protected by the Pacific. New York's is exposed to Arctic blasts. Fact 29. New York's longest river is the Hudson at 315 miles, entirely contained within the state. It's a manageable, historic waterway. California's longest river is the Sacramento at 320 miles, but it feeds into a delta that spreads water for hundreds more miles. California's rivers are longer and more heavily engineered, with dams and canals. New York's rivers flow naturally from source to sea. Fact 30. New York's forest covers 63% of the state, about 18.6 million acres of continuous woodland. It's a forested state where trees dominate the landscape. California's forest covers 33% of the state, about 33 million acres. While California has more total forest acres, it's less forest dense and more patchwork, broken by deserts, cities, and agriculture. New York is a forest with cities. California is a patchwork of ecosystems. So here we are, coast to coast, glacier to fault line, forest to desert. New York and California aren't just different states, they're different worlds smashed into one nation. One built on ancient, stable stone, the other riding a tectonic roller coaster that rebuilds itself daily. Whether you prefer the frozen peaks of the Adirondacks or the sun-scorched depths of Death Valley, one fact is clear: geography doesn't just shape land, it shapes everything. If you learned something that blew your mind, smash that like button and subscribe for more raw geography showdowns. Drop a comment below. Which state's geography would you rather call home? And if you want to see Texas versus Florida next, let us know. Thanks for watching. Now go explore your own corner of the planet.